Hey guys, great to be here. Thank you for having me. And so, big news, good news, an update. We reported on an effort by lawmakers in Tennessee to create a task force that would look at how and if it would be a good idea for Tennessee to end federal funding of its education system and then also end federal control over its public schools. Well, they are moving ahead with that now. Just this week, they appointed a panel of lawmakers onto this task force who are supposed to look at how they can free their state from federal control of government. And that means also, of course, cutting off the funding. And really, this move could be a role model for states all across the country that are trying to protect the children in their state from the increasingly out of control Biden administration. Obviously, the far left Democrats, most of whom represent districts where kids can't read, can't write, where violence is out of control and crime, they are whining about this. Oh, we need the federal money. We need the federal government to keep controlling our schools. And of course, that has done so good for the children of these districts that less than 1/3 of them can read or write or do math or anything like that. But a lot of conservatives and a lot of Republicans were very hopeful about this, very optimistic about this. They see federal influence and control over classrooms as unconstitutional, dangerous, and ridiculous. The 10-member panel that they appointed this week is going to try to figure out how they can last without this $2 billion from U.S. taxpayers. It's about 10% of the total they spend on education. But one of the things that has come up over and over again, a lot of lawmakers have talked about this. If they cut the federal funds, they cut the federal regulations and controls, and they might even actually save money by not having to comply with these crazy federal regulations. One of the lawmakers on the panel, Senator Joey Hensley, actually said he supported ending the federal ties on education if the federal government was mandating policies that lawmakers did not think were needed. He said if they're causing us to spend more money than we are receiving from the federal government and we are not receiving benefits that we couldn't provide for ourselves, then I think we should reject it, which is, of course, a very sensible solution. So by January of next year, 2024, this it's called the Joint Working Group on Federal Education Funding. They're supposed to provide a recommendation to the legislature and to the government there on how the state can stop taking money from the Biden administration. It's chaired by the chairs of the House and Senate Education Committees. It seems to have support from the governor and the lieutenant governor as well. Lieutenant Governor Randy McNally, he's a Republican who helped set up the panel. He said it was important to consider this. He said federal dollars and various mandates and restrictions that come with those dollars affect the way Tennessee's children are educated. Duh. Due to our state's excellent financial position, this is a worthy subject of examination and study. In fact, I would say even if you didn't have a good financial position, do you really want Biden, the child sniffer, educating your children? I would say probably not, right? Do you really want Miguel Cardona, who thinks that parents are not the primary stakeholders in the education of their own children? Do you really want these people overseeing the education of your children? I would suspect that most parents don't think that's a good idea. But Democrats, like I said, are absolutely in a rage. They're foaming at the mouth. Senate Minority Leader Ramesh Akbari literally represents one of the most violent and uneducated districts in the country, down in Memphis, says that the harsh consequences of rejecting this $1.8 billion cannot be overstated. What was not stated was how the situation could possibly be any worse than it already is in Akbari's district. Governor and the Speaker of the House, Cameron Sexton, were both in support. And lawmakers in other states that we have talked to in Oklahoma, South Carolina, are considering similar proposals. Obviously, this will not stop all of the problems in education, especially government education. But it's an obvious no-brainer, right? The states and the people never delegated any powers to the U.S. government over education. The Constitution that created the federal government does not grant those powers to the federal government, and therefore, if you read it, says all powers that are not delegated to the United States in this Constitution are reserved to the states or the people. In other words, federal involvement at all in education is totally unconstitutional. So kudos to Tennessee. They can lead the way here in getting out of control federal bureaucrats just completely out of our classrooms. Other states will definitely follow suit. And this is really important, folks, and the media is not really talking about it. So stay tuned. We'll bring you updates.